Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps lots. And also keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are after market close on Friday, May 6th. We're going to take a look at SoFi. So I wanted to first catch up on the last couple of days, see where SoFi landed as it pertains to our levels. So coming into yesterday, it was wrestling quite a bit with this 703 level, which is probably just a psychological $7 level. And at open, it dropped straight from there and came down. It didn't quite need to get down to this 650 test of support. It stopped around 56, 57, 657, and then came up. But on the flip side, then wasn't able to reapproach that 703 level, right? It stopped here at 698. So falling short there and then falling into close more or less. Now opening up today, big drop at open from about that same level, where it headed into at close. So relatively flat that way, but then came down. That initial test, this low on this 10-minute candle is 651. So the first 10 minutes got us within a penny of the level, and then we proceeded to fall through. Now we didn't come down and test the 625 level, right? You sort of double bottomed around 630, 636. I didn't know this stretched down. Oh, it's just a penny. The price is so low now that these candles, even though they look big, they aren't many pennies. So, right about 635, more or less, kind of double bottomed on the day, and then just kind of trailed off into close. So we'll see. This to me, says a couple of things. Either we may end up a bit range bound into earnings. And the question is, are we going to range bound from like 625 to 650 or 650 to 7 or the dreaded 6 to 625? So, I think Monday will tell us a lot. Do we flip 650 from resistance to support and start getting some motion in here? Or do we keep the motion in this 625, 650 range? Or do we give up 625 and then, make a push towards $6? Who knows? But it should be interesting mix between the bloodbath that is the stock market these days versus the earnings coming up, which, has swung different ways in the past. So we'll see. Now, I was looking at this earlier, and I mean, it's it's really challenging, right? Because you have the stock trying to do a certain motion in here, trying to complete a certain motion, put in a certain pattern. Then you get catalyst, good news, and that breaks. That gives it the potential for a break, and then the market just absolutely becomes a slaughterhouse, or resumes being a slaughterhouse for the subsequent days. And so then SoFi is left just kind of giving up to the macro forces. Now, yesterday down a bit over 4%, and then today, nearly 6%. And we see the markets overall, it's and yesterday was, as a much bloodier bloodbath. And so, I kind of want to still be leaning slightly bullish, but that's also kind of my own problem. The thing that that sort of like cautions me that I would look for. Now, this isn't the exact same situation, but it's not super dissimilar. If you look at this pattern here, now this is coming off of a different motion, right? There was this sort of like abrupt double bottom motion, almost like putting in a cup type formation here, versus this formation, which yes, could have been cuppish, could still be cuppish, in this range, but it was a much more smoothed out, build a range, break that range type of movement versus this like double bottom, just V type motion. And then it put in a series of lower highs, right? So it sort of had a downtrend like we have here. And then it had this big break, right? Almost 10% up on this day. Now, so had we had this downtrend in here, it would have broken through there, and then it would have started to draw back down, and then we see what has happened since then. So I would just be cautious. We're only a few candles in, so it's quite hard to tell, but I was looking for some recent analogs. That one's similar-ish, like I said, some key differences there. But just watch to see if it doesn't start to do this exact same type of motion. And even here, it had some pretty big drops, like 6.5, 4, and then 7. So those could certainly resemble I'm not saying that we're going to drop on earnings, but if we do, that could certainly resemble the amount, if not more, that that SoFi could have from an earnings reaction, and that could flip to the bulls side as well, right? We could easily be double digits green, percentage wise, after earnings. I mean, who knows? And also, it may not matter, right? We've seen several things sort of jump SoFi's stock up in the past. This day, we're up over 10%, and then just look what happens. It doesn't take a lot to pick these things out, up almost 12.5%, and then look what happens. So, I mean, these runs have been brief ever since this like second sell-off, after this sort of lockup sell-off, right? This was the drop on earnings, and then we're kind of flat, started to recover into this earnings quite a bit, and then well, you can see what happened. But I think that's not so far away from when the whole market started to just be all a flutter. But that was the dreaded $25 level, right? That it just hasn't ever been able to secure price action over. In any case, this is just to say there can be, I mean, if SoFi has proven anything, it can have brief runs, can have brief bullish strength, can even have string together several days. But in the broader picture, we're seeing not only the trees, but we're seeing the forest for the trees. The forest is a bloody one. And we're chopping down trees all over the place. So, it's just to say, and I've said, you can go back months and see this in videos where I say, we had a really good day, we've had a really good string of days. Be careful, because if SoFi has taught us anything, it's that it's unforgiving in its ability to take away gains incredibly fast, and show us lows that we hadn't anticipated. So I would just say that again. Obviously, I will forever hope that changes, and maybe someday it will. It still is a young, public stock, right? So not lose sight of that. But the losses have been real, and the challenge of the overall market is incredibly real right now. I did a video last night on SPY, QQQ, IWM, and UVXY. If you want to look at that, I think that those levels are still holding quite strong after today. And, we talk about some volume indicators that we see coming through and things like that. So we'll see what earnings brings. Hopefully what comes of earnings is just that SoFi continues to appear as though it's on track to execute on its grand vision of the company that it can be and is trying to create. To me, that's kind of the best that I feel I can hope for at the moment, because the stock performance has been atrocious. That said, the stock market performance overall has been atrocious relatively recently, and so I'm trying to draw a distinction between those two. I'm just more of a stock trader than I am a company investor, if you will. But I'm also hopeful that SoFi can become the company that it wants to be, because I think it would be a really cool company to have in the world. I think it would be very helpful, and I could see the benefits outside of owning the stock. All right, diatribe land. It means it's time to end the video, but be careful next week. Be excited for earnings. Who knows what could happen? It could be a wild one. You see there's a bunch of blue earnings here and interesting tickers, right? SoFi, AMC, Palantir. So we'll see what next week brings. But in any case, I hope that your trading week went well. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.